Hi, it's Scott, ROCKFILE, back with another podcast review for your ears. Let's talk about the new Opeth album, The Last Will and Testament, specifically the Dolby Atmos mix. What an amazing album. I'm a huge Opeth fan, bigger fan of the more melodic stuff and less of the death growly stuff. Years ago, when they produced two albums at the same time, Deliverance and Damnation, it became one of my favorite albums of all time. Have the box set with both albums remastered and both albums in surround sound. Just big fan of that sound. I do like the heavier stuff. As a matter of fact, not being a fan of death growly type metal, they're one of the bands I do like. Like, I can listen to him growl. He's one of the best ones. And in this new mix, I don't know, either I'm starting to finally get used to death growls, or these are some of the best recorded growls I've ever heard because I understood every word he said. Now, granted, on the Blu-ray, it's putting up the kind of the lyrics. This is a concept album from Opeth. I'll go ahead and stop right now and just say it's one of their best albums, if not top of the list. It's top 3, I guess. It's amazing. It is complex. It's like they took everything that is Opeth and doubled down on it all. There's a nearly hour-long documentary on the Blu-ray that comes with the CD where they talk about the recording of the album, and they've just decided, let's just go all in on everything. If we're going to do a complex passage, let's make it really complex. Even for him, Michael Ackerfeld, the leader, the guy who is not only behind the art direction but wrote the songs and everything, and he's the lead vocalist, he says even for him, it's complex, it's hard to digest, and it is. And I've said in many podcasts, I like movies that I have to watch more than once. I like albums that I have to listen to more than once. And this is definitely one of those. If you're a fan of like their older days, you're going to eat this up like catnip. This is the return of some of those elements they haven't done since Watershed in 2008. It's their first album since 2019, and wow. It came out at the end of November. I finally got a copy. That's why I'm late to this party. And my first listen was in Dolby Atmos. I honestly haven't even listened to the stereo yet. It was such an amazing experience. In my previous reviews for Peter Gabriel's I.O. or Pearl Jam's Dark Matter, these are albums that were good on their own but were elevated by the mix. I'm telling you right now, this album is elevated by the mix because I don't know that I can go back and listen to the stereo version would probably be like, I don't know, watching a more concise version of a movie, I guess. But the way some of the vocals and other elements, they have Ian Anderson of Jethro Tull on this album, playing flute and doing some spoken word stuff. There's a few other guest stars like the lead singer of Europe. But all in all, this is an Opeth album, their first album with a new drummer. I've met Martin before. He was a nice guy. He's gone on to do other things. I think he's still playing with Bloodbath, which is an offshoot of this band. The rest of the guys I've actually talked to multiple times. I've interviewed Opeth. They're great guys, and they're in music for the same reason that some of my favorite artists are in music, to make great music. And again, this is a complex progressive metal album. It has a lot of mellow passages, but it's not a mellow album by any stretch of the imagination. It has some really heavy passages. It has a mixture of death growls and his more melodic vocals, and it's creepy, but it's cool, and it fits. The concept album is set right after World War I. There's a wealthy patriarch who's reading his last will and testament, and it reveals shocking family secrets. That's why the songs don't have titles. It's 1 through 7, and then the last song has a title. Tracks 3 and the last song don't have death growls. Track 3 would be very indicative of the rest of the album. Track 8 would not. Track 8 sounds more like something off Deliverance. It's a mellow orchestral piece that's quite amazing. The whole thing as a concept is amazing, and that's why I like it so much, and why I'm, as a non-death growly type guy, I didn't mind the death growls at all. Not only were they clear, but they were part of the music and told the part of the story where they fit. It just wasn't that all the way through. There's a lot of his melodic singing on this album. The Dolby Atmos mix, I am so glad that I finally have a nice, decent, I want a full Atmos. I want 4 overheads. Right now I have 2 overheads in the middle. But between my setup, and I've run all the different software I have to make sure it's running at prime for what I have, optimum Dolby Atmos decoding, I really was in a bubble of sound. It has a wide sound stage for an album. Some of these vocals come in over like your left shoulder, kind of thing. There's all sorts of things happening. Again, this is going to be an album that I can't really review yet, as far as like, I can tell you that I really like track 3 because it's got this and this. The songs are 8-9 minutes long, and they're very complex and go through multiple This is what progressive rock is and progressive metal. This is a 9 out of 10 to a 10 out of 10 from the band. I mean, it's a watershed moment for them. They had an album called Watershed back in 2008, but it is a watershed moment for the band. They have really distilled all parts of what make them great, and here it is. I'm a little surprised to say that because, again, it's the return of the death growls. And I know metal fans were pleased, but I was kind of walking into listening to this album with a little trepidation that I just, I want the more melodic stuff. Well, I got that and more. I got a real concept album that wasn't a cheesy concept album. This is, again, requires multiple listens to fully appreciate. And I love that. The musicianship, especially the new drummer, wow. Everybody's firing on all cylinders. Some of the guitar work is just jaw-dropping. I know a lot of that's Frederick and Michael. They're trading stuff in here. It's an epic album. I can't wait to listen to it over and over again to really... And I can't say that about a whole lot of popular albums these days. There are 1 or 2 good listens, with some of your favorite songs on it. But when was the last time you pulled out an album just because you wanted to hear that whole thing from beginning to end again? There were several albums like that this year. I mentioned again the Peter Gabriel I.O. and the Pearl Jam and a few others. And I can't wait to hear the new Steven Wilson. That's 42 minutes long and 2 songs. Can't wait. The Last Will and Testament from Opeth. It came out November 22nd. It's available now. Highly recommended. If you can decode it in 5.1 or Atmos, get that. The Blu-ray also has an hour-long documentary, so you're getting a lot of content there. Plus, you get the stereo CD. Plus, you get this fold-out poster that's kind of The Last Will and Testament, and that's what's broken up on the screen while you're listening to the album. That's basically, the will is the lyrics, if it all makes sense. Anyway, it works great when you're watching the Blu-ray. I think they put a lot of time and effort into it. Sounds fantastic. The Dolby Atmos is amazing. I didn't go back to the 5.1 just to compare them yet. Maybe I'll come back and do a comparison with the stereo. That would be kind of fun. But this winds up as one of my best albums of 2024 on a musical level. It winds up as one of the best of 2024 on a surround sound level. The Atmos mix is just fantastic. It's immersive as all get out. This is the future of music. If you're into that kind of stuff, I know it will always be a niche. Surround sound always has been. But again, as I've said many times, if you have a soundbar or a surround sound setup that can do Atmos or at least 5.1 for your movies and for your streaming shows, then why not get some music that also takes advantage of that you have? It sounds great. It's fantastic. Wow. Blown away by The Last Will and Testament by Opeth, one of their best. Wow. Anyway, check it out in Atmos, my highest marks. More music reviews. I want to do more in 2025, and I just got the 2024 Dolby Atmos version of Yes, Fragile, that box set. So that'll be one of the next reviews coming up. I'm Scott. I'm ROCKFILE. Thanks for listening. Please subscribe. Give it a like. That helps the algorithm a lot. And thank you for listening.